Hey, and welcome back in. Factor on and find out. Justin White here as your host. Sorry that I took like a week off. Sorry about that. I needed to go scream into the ether somewhere else for a second, I suppose. If the video stream is trying to lock up on Yeah, all right. Apparently the stream stopped there for a second. I apologize about that. Trying to get everything kind of worked out. A couple of the kinks. A little bit of Simple Minds to bring us in to start the show today. I was talking to my good friend Leslie Beach about a really cool fan theory that's it's about the Breakfast Club. That Ali Sheedy's character, that the entire thing is made up in her head. That she has made up the entire thing, because she has no friends, and she has a makeover by the end of it, and she gets the guy who's at Emilio Estevez. She gets the guy, and there's a theory that it was all in Ali Sheedy's head. But she said that this song, that's where she had come to love this song. And I said, well, you know what? I'll start the stream with it today. So Leslie Beach, this one's for you. Little Simple Minds, Don't You Forget About Me. I think of the album, what was it? Once Upon a Time, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, from the text line, that's the 2025 Misfits Market text and call-in line. Buddy PJ says, good morning, Jay White. Good to see you back. I was worried you may have had some health issues. Glad that you're back. I am back. Needed to take a little break. And he said that the stream had stopped. Yeah, I know. It should be back up now. I'll double check it for you, though. Oh, let's see. Yeah, we're back up and going. Just wanted to double check, make sure that I got it all sorted out. Sorry about that. Sorry, it's a little rocky start to the show today, but it is your Monday, February the 24th. Where does it go? It happened so quickly. It seems like it was just the 23rd. Hope you guys have been doing good out there. It's going to be a warm day around West Tennessee. Your West Tennessee weather. Brought to you by Smith Oddities. Out of the regional airport right now, let's see what we're looking at. Because at my house, I'm sitting at 53.4 degrees as far as my station is concerned. Looks like we're 50 degrees. That's 10 degrees Celsius. If you're playing along at home out at Jackson, McKellar-Sipes Regional Airport. 48% humidity for today. Sunny, a high near 60, 61 degrees. It's going to be a really nice day around Jackson and West Tennessee. Calm winds. Tonight, partly cloudy, low around 40. Calm winds becoming southwest at 5 miles an hour. For your Tuesday, sunny with a high near 64. Calm winds as well. For your Tuesday night, patchy fog between 1 and 2 a.m. Good thing they scheduled it for then. Otherwise, mostly clear with a low around 43. For your Wednesday, mostly sunny, a high near 71 whole degrees on Wednesday. That's pretty nice. But it's coming up on March. But we're going to have some showers moving into the area, possibly on Wednesday night. About a 40% chance is what it's looking like right now. For Thursday, mostly cloudy. To start out the day, going to become sunny, a high near almost 60 degrees. And for your Thursday night, mostly clear, a low around 35 degrees. Not your West Tennessee weather. That's always brought to you by our friends over at Smith Oddities. You can go check them out as well over at the Misfits Market. We all know Dustin Smith, Jessica Yap. They're kind of in charge of the thing. That's their baby. Speaking of the 2025 Misfits Market and Expo text line, PJ says, all good. It's all back up and going. Yeah, my man, I got you. I appreciate it. Thanks for the text. If you want to be like PJ, be a part of the conversation, 388-9080. You can give me a call. You can give me a text. Be happy to have you on the show. I'm going to skip straight to the calendar day today. And I'll keep doing the stream until the computer just decides that it's going to shit the bed, because there's a lot going on with this. So let's see what we got today. There was only one on the national calendar day for today. But it's worth taking the time on. And hey, it's National Tortilla Chip Day. If you know, and you know my brothers, you know our affinity for Mexican food. Love it. I'm making some birria, however you want to pronounce it, as we speak. And I will have some tortilla chips. I go by the Lobster Palace, as we call it lovingly, the Lobster Palace LP here in Jackson. And I get their salsa. It goes so well with it, but then they always give you the chips, and I'm excited to have the chips. I'm going to do that today because it is National Tortilla Chip Day, celebrated on the 24th. Celebrating a crunchy chip that provides a multitude of ways ways to enjoy it. This day also shares the chips history and many ways to enjoy. Okay, but do you want to have two baskets of chips? Because you realize that every chip is only a quarter of a tortilla. It's like, oh shoot, yeah, let me eat 24 or 25 tortillas before I eat my meal. This says hashtag National Tortilla Chip Day. Everyone loves tortilla chips. We most commonly serve them with salsa, chili con queso, guacamole, cheese dip, or other dips. Tortilla chips are made from corn tortillas, cut into wedges and fried. The tortillas are made from corn, vegetable oil, salt, and water, typically made with yellow corn. Tortillas can also be made with white, blue, or red corn. I've had some of the different colored tortilla chips. You know what? I'm just sticking to a regular old tortilla chip. I don't need the black ones, the red ones, the blue ones. We don't need all that. There's no reason to have the colored tortilla chips. It's like whenever, remember, for all of us who were alive in the 80s and 90s, remember the blue ketchup and green ketchup? Remember that shit? Horrible marketing idea. Whose idea was it to have ketchup that was any color other than the color of the tomato? I didn't participate. It's the same as when Pepsi did Pepsi Clear. I do not need my Pepsi to be clear. I need it to be the color of sludge and oil to remind me what awful thing I'm putting inside of my body. Sprite's different. Today is National Tortilla Chip Day. I took a week off, and I'll tell you what, good thing nothing exciting happened with our government or anything in politics in that week, right? Swear to God. Let's go to the peanut gallery over here. And I apologize, it's glitchy, and the stream's a little glitchy. It's Leslie Beach giving me the bullhorn and saying, thank you, friend. You're very welcome. L Beach, you are very, very welcome. Glad to call you a friend. No, I take a week off and everything goes to just hell. And we're going to get into all of that. You know I am. I've got a list of things that I'm upset about that we are definitely going to get off in the middle of. But first, on this day in history. Over the text line, yes, always said that green and purple ketchup is just strange. Yeah, it's weird. Why are we doing that? There's no reason. On this day in history, the 24th of February, born in 1977, American boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr. Also born on this day back in 1955, Steve Jobs. Born all the way back in 1500, Charles V of the Holy Roman Emperor. Charles V was born February 24th, 1500 in Belgium. Died at 58 years old in 1558 in Spain. On this day in history, 1868, United States President Andrew Johnson was impeached. The U.S. House of Representatives voted 126-47 to impeach Andrew Johnson, whose lenient Reconstruction policies regarding the South after the Civil War angered radical Republicans in Congress. Mind you, that was before the parties swapped. Some 8 years after illegally annexing Crimea, Russia invaded the Ukraine on this day back in 2022. Boy, we got some stuff to talk about that one today. I'm glad it was on this day in history. Russian President Vladimir Putin cited several reasons for the war, including the false claim that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and other government officials were neo-Nazis. It's always weird when the Nazis and Nazi-adjacent people claim somebody else is a Nazi. It's almost like when you're a fascist and you claim that the other side are the fascists. Any of this sound familiar to you? I'm having really to restrain myself so far before we get off into some of this stuff, because boy, oh boy, do we have some good ones coming up for you today. As one of the great orders of our time, Miss Gwen Stefani once said, "This shit is bananas." On this day in 2020, American film producer Harvey Weinstein, whose career ended amid numerous allegations of sexual harassment and assault, was finally convicted of rape and of a criminal sex act. Many viewed the verdict as a victory for the Me Too movement, which sought to assist survivors of sexual assault. On this day in 1991, U.S. ground operations began in the Persian Gulf, more than a month after an air war was launched against Iraq to free Iraqi-occupied Kuwait. That was on this day in 1991. On this day in 1976, the regime of Fidel Castro adopted the Constitution of Cuba, which mandated the operation of only one political party, the Communist Party of Cuba. On this day in 1942, the Voice of America made its first broadcast in German to counter the propaganda of, you guessed it, Nazis and the Nazi leaders. Today, like every day, is National Punch a Nazi Day. Have you seen the elections in Germany? You know, where the Nazis got their biggest start. You know, funny thing, the Germans, they don't like the Nazis. Elon Musk tried to influence that election to get what is basically the new Nazi party in power. Didn't work. The Germans said, nah, we don't play that way. From the Peanut Gallery, Lisa Atkins. It's good afternoon. Almost, Miss Lisa. It's good morning still. It is 11:20 where I'm sitting. But I understand the sentiment all the same, and I do appreciate it very much. From the text line, that'd be the Misfits Market and Expo text line. Good to see you back, Justin. It's good to be back. Lisa says, don't want to start too much, but have you talked about the chainsaw at Elon Musk yet? No, but boy, are we getting to it. Elon Musk and that chainsaw, and I'll get back to on this day in history in a second, but since you brought it up, Lisa, I'll say this. Elon Musk and that chainsaw, it's like what the kid who's never had sex thinks a cool kid is. You know what I'm saying? He's like the kid that never was cool, imagined cool people to be like. It's the same as like Donald Trump is to these people. What they think that he is what a rich person would be like, right? But that's what opulence looks like. That's what wealthy people look like. Not all of them. A and B, gold toilets and, you know, gold doorknobs and shit. That it don't hit. It just don't hit. But we're going to get to all of it and more coming up right after this. So let's see. On this day in history, 1848, the Revolution of 1848 reached France. That's the monarchical. That's always harder to say. Being anti-monarch. That revolution reached France. The one nation where the insurgency was actually successful. That was back in 1848. On this day in 1836, American painter Winslow Homer, who captured the interaction of humans and nature in his watercolors, was born on this day in Boston. If you've never looked through some Winslow Homer stuff, it's cool. It reminds me a lot of I'd say like old animations from some Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin, one of my favorites, E.B. White, Charlotte's Web. It reminds me a lot of that. On this day in 1803, in Marbury versus Madison, the United States Supreme Court declared an act of Congress unconstitutional, thus establishing the doctrine of judicial review. Very important that we have that. And lastly, on this day in history, in 1525, the forces of the Habsburg Emperor Charles V, whose birthday is today, annihilated the army of Francis I of France in the Battle of Pavia. That was on this day in history, February the 24th. Who takes it for me today? I'm going with, I'm going to give it to Floyd Mayweather Jr. That's who I'm giving it to. Best birthday we got today. Floyd Mayweather Jr. From the Peanut Gallery over here, let's see. And you can be a part of that on Facebook or on YouTube Live, whichever way is easiest for you. Oh, Miss Lisa says, tell it. She said I pegged him. Well, I don't know if I pegged him. But yes, that was messed up. So she has a lot to say about it. She says, thanks for being a gentleman and calling me Miss Lisa, but I'll just take Lisa because can't be feeling like no old lady. Well, I'll say this to you, Lisa. I'll call you Lisa if that's what you want, out of respect for you. My daddy raised me that all men older than me are sir, and all women of any age are miss. I call my daughter Miss. Sometimes it's Miss Thang, sometimes it's Miss Penny, but I refer to most everybody I know that's a woman as Miss. From the Misfits Market and Expo text line, says, yeah, I found it takes far too many brain cells to actually study history and not just take what you've been taught. We have endless avenues, but yet might be dumber as a species every day. Tell you about that. Man, that's real talk. I do feel like we're getting dumber and dumber and dumber as a species every day in lots of ways. You know, the first couple weeks that I was doing this live stream, I tried to be, I don't hide what I think about anything, but I tried my best to be a little bit more, I would hold back. I'll say it that way. I would hold back with some of my opinions on stuff. The last week and a few days that I took off from this, with so much happening, I finally feel like if I'm going to be on one side of history or the other, I'm going to be on the side that says, you know, bunch your local Nazi. We don't do that around here. That's not okay. And to speak truth to power. That's just what it has to be. This is not okay. What we're looking at, what we're seeing right now is not okay. From the federal workers trying to sue Elon Musk. Now, because if they don't explain what they do, did you see that email? They get an email saying that if you don't put 5 things that you accomplished last week down, you're going to get fired. There was a gentleman that came out and said he works in disaster relief. He's a doctor, physician in disaster relief. He has another job, but he hasn't had to respond to any disasters this year so far, especially not this last week. And last year, he responded to multiple disasters. And he made a total of $36 from the United States government. They paid him $36 last year. That was it. And he got fired last week. Because Doge came in and said it's obvious that this is government waste. Make that make sense. But now these workers are being told that if you don't give a list of 5 things you've accomplished in the last week, you're going to get fired, and went on to say that if you don't respond or turn that in to your superior, we'll consider that your resignation. The thing is, that's illegal. That's not how that works. Silence is not a resignation. Now you can try to fire me, but that's not a sign of resignation. So now a lot of these federal workers are trying to sue Elon Musk over that. Miss Lisa said, let's pay Elon Musk $36. See how he likes that. Yeah. Ex-Secret Service agent and podcaster Dan Bongino is going to be the FBI deputy director, so that's cool. So we have a Fox News host in a cabinet position. Now we've got ex-Secret Service and a podcaster as FBI deputy director. I think it's funny. So BBC's come out saying that, and I'm jumping around here till I land on one of these. We're actually going to discuss it. And it's coming up on 11:30. Emmanuel Macron, president of France, he's warning Donald Trump not to look too weak against Vladimir Putin. It's like, yeah, well, it's not a matter of looking weak to Putin. They're in bed on this together. The whole "I'll solve this on day one" bullshit that Donald Trump said. I'll end the war first day. Everything'll be great. Bull. The Ukraine gave up their nukes, amongst other things, in exchange for us looking after them and protecting them. That was part of the plan and part of the deal. And if we don't do that, well, what kind of that make good bed partners now, does it? Looks like Pope Francis having a bit of a hard time. I don't know if you saw that. Pope Francis seems to be a little bit under the weather. Bless his heart. I've spent a lot of the time trying to figure out where I'm going to draw the line with language on this. So I'm going to let all that go going forward. So I'm sorry if certain language bothers you. I'll try not to use it flagrantly, but I'll say this. Fuck the Pope and fuck all the popes that there have ever been. Don't need them. You're not duly elected by God. None of that is real. That's all a bunch of made up stuff. It's not real. You're not elected by God. Y'all also let little kids get touched and all that. You don't do anything to stand up against it. So take your high and mighty stuff. Also, if you were actually some sort of a deity, divine person that was put in place by them, you wouldn't need a bulletproof car. So miss me all the way with that. Found some stuff online that I want to talk about real quick before we get off into some actual news. Oh, by the way, I want to just put this out there. Bernie Sanders is the guy I really hate that we missed this opportunity with Bernie. He's looking so much better to so many people on the left, right? Hillary Clinton screwed that up. People say Bernie lost the election for Hillary. I think it was the other way around. So this come across. It said, today I found out that my neighbor who works for the USDA lost his job. I didn't know him well, but I do know he's my neighbor, and I do know he's worked for the USDA for 12 years. All 12 years that I've known him. What I do know is this. I'm incredibly happy for him and his family that he lost his job at the USDA. I'm glad he lost his career. I'm glad he lost his source of income. I'm glad he got everything that he voted for. Now I'm just waiting to see how long it takes for the Trump flag he's been flying for the last 5 years to come down off of his porch. Yeah, bud. We are in the fact around stage. We have reached it. This was from Kevin Barron, who's got some inside information. It says, get ready. The FBI and the DOD are about to have a historic week of extreme change, massive job cuts, honorable careers being killed, demands for militant loyalism, more lies and false conspiracies, and destructive orders that halt or damage security affairs, domestic and international. The CIA is quite concerned. That some of these ex-CIA members, they get fired. They're going to take some of this information to what's supposed to be our allies. The people that are supposed to be on our side, that are. Look, I'm not saying they're supposed to be. They are. But they're jumping ship. The UK, they're coming out. They've already had meetings last week that they didn't invite us to, that they never would do that. Europe is having meetings without us. And their presidents and their leaders are coming forward saying, we're going to figure out a way to have independence for the United States where we no longer have to deal with them anymore. And they said, we're amazed we're saying this. We're shocked that this is something we even have to say. But we have to do it. We have to distance ourselves from the United States as an ally and a partner as Europe. If that's not concerning to you, then you're either also a fascist or nationalist or both. Nationalism is a bad thing. It's fine to be proud of where you're from. It's fine to love your country. It's fine to do all those things. Nationalism is a problem. Period. End of discussion. I will be taking no questions. Mike Robinson comes in, says fashionably late. Hey, I'm just glad that you're here, brother. Just glad that you're here. But no, that's how this is going to work. There are countries, a large portion of Europe is getting together saying, okay, well, this isn't going to work. We're going to have to move along. Again, it's okay to like your country. It's okay to be excited to be where you're from. But nationalism, that's dangerous. Throw Christian in front of it. That makes it more dangerous. Let's mix religion in with nationalism. That makes it terrifying. But these are some of the headlines I've seen coming across. I've got one about, God, did you see the Joint Chiefs? They got rid of two. I can't think of the woman's name. Dan Cain got chosen to replace the 4-star general who was in place. You know, it's funny. When you look at these Joint Chiefs and the leaders, you look at the demographics that are represented here, and the people that they chose to let go, the people they chose to fire. They kept every white guy. They only fired 2 people. And it's just odd to me that those 2 people just happen to be a woman and a black man. That's who y'all decided to purge? The one woman and the one black man. Okay. This new whatever is not about anything but loyalty. But I've got a little story to get to on that. Lisa Franchetti, that's who it was. Admiral Lisa Franchetti was one of the people that got fired. And they were saying she was unqualified, she wasn't supposed to be here, this and that. Let me read this, get it to where I can see it. I guess my eyes are getting worse. She spent 40 years in the United States Navy, rising to the branch, top job in the branch. She was fired by Pete Hegseth, who's a Fox News host. You know what I'm saying? She spent half of her 40-year career at sea, commanding a destroyer, 2 carrier strike groups, and the U.S. 6th Fleet. She was fired by a Fox News host this weekend. If you're not paying attention, if you're not awake now, it's all right here. So this is from the Broken Beatnik. I like him a lot. I follow him on Threads. Also, I've gotten really off it. I like Threads a whole lot. It's better than Instagram. It's better than, obviously, Facebook and X and all that other... That's... whatever. It's all owned by Meta or by Elon, but at least Threads is better. This is from the Broken Beatnik. It says, there's been a lot of focus on the firing of a decorated 4-star black general in favor of a 3-star white general with a less illustrious career. The part that's the most interesting to me and concerning is not actually the race part directly. So, stick with me on this for a second. Oh, Logan Luther chiming in. Yeah, absolutely. It was not about qualified. It was about loyalty. That's 100% what it was. So the person who was selected over the 4-star black general, and again, race shouldn't have anything to do with it, but this is a black gentleman who's actually writing this. And he's the one who came out and he said race is not like the most concerning thing to him about it either. He said the person who's elected, Lieutenant General retired Dan Kane, actually does not qualify for the job. Not as in he's a terrible leader or isn't good at it. He says he's not commenting on that. But as in federal law Title 10, USC Section 152, it has stipulations for the seat of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that he just doesn't meet. Under the law, the president is allowed to waive the requirements if they deem it to be, quote, in the national interest to do so. And the national interest, to my knowledge, is not defined. So it is legal, quote unquote, for the president to appoint him, but it's not driven by any apparent urgency or specific named national interest. Right? We're not at war. And like Logan said, it's about loyalty. So when they're pulling out all these attorneys that are in charge of the check and balances of the our national defense, of our Joint Chiefs, and you're getting rid of the attorneys who would not allow you to do certain things, get ready. They're ramping up to do something. And they want full support. They don't want anybody to stand in their way of them doing it. It says, he goes on to say, even if you subscribe to the ridiculous notion that General Brown, no relation, wasn't qualified, there are other officers currently on the Joint Chiefs of Staff who would qualify, and other 4-star generals that would qualify based on current or previous service. But instead, he went with this guy, Dan Kane. So why would 47, to be Donald Trump, reach down into the ranks to elevate someone who literally does not qualify for the role legally, doesn't have an extraordinary amount of experience, and requires a special waiver? Logan hit the nail on the head. The question is loyalty. The answer is loyalty. He values allegiance above competence and will choose a person that can count on to execute his will without challenging him every single time given the chance. But even if you disagree, you're still left with the challenge of proving why this unqualified leader was appointed over so many other qualified leaders, including other white guys. If that's your requirement, even if it's white dudes, so why? Because it's not about merit at all. Logan, this is Broken Beatnik. Broken Beatnik. The Broken Beatnik. It's good stuff. I like him quite a bit. But again, it's the same as when they got rid of Lisa Franchetti. 40 years service. 40-year career at sea, commanding a destroyer, 2 carrier strike groups, and the entire U.S. 6th Fleet. She gets fired. And the Broken Beatnik is right. It's not about race on this particular issue. It's not about race. It does suck that all the white guys stayed and they got rid of the only woman and the only black man. So the optics are shitty, right? But it all comes down to loyalty over merit. And you get rid of the guys who are actually going to be the ones saying, hey, stop, no. The attorneys involved in giving them those checks. And then you just can do whatever you want to now. From the Misfits Market and Expo text line, it says, yes, without loyalty, Nazi Germany would have never became many don't know about. Over 45,000 Jews fought for the Nazis because they chose country over their race. Yeah. And it's a shame. It's the saying that I've heard 1,000 times. 1,000 times. It's the woods, it's the forest, the trees, voting for the axe because the handle's made of wood. He's just like us. He's just like us. Look, his handle's made of wood. Shut up. You're wrong. He's nothing like you. These people are nothing like you. Stop giving them a platform. Stop listening to what they're saying. My favorite, I used to make the joke all the time that one of my favorite things is I use Nick Saban's tears as lube, because I just love Alabama fans losing. I think it's hilarious because they win all the time. So it's funny. It's a joke. I really don't care. I love college football. It's just a funny joke. But I will say this. When it comes to MAGA, like straight up full on MAGA conservatives, oh man, I love nothing more than watching them find out. Watching them find out. These people don't like you. They don't give a shit about you. You voted for it. They were tickled to have your vote. They were tickled to have your vote. They said it to your face. You cousin kissing troglodytes. They told it to your fucking face and you didn't hear it. I love the uneducated. I love the uneducated. He said that to you while making fun of handicapped reporters. He said this shit to you and you voted for him. And then he was like, yeah, no, we're going to take a lot of their jobs. Fuck the farmers. We don't need them at all. We're going to lose our farms because the grants went away. Yeah, you mean the grants that were under Joe Biden? And I don't like Joe Biden either, but even so, you mean the grants under the federal or the Inflation Reduction Act? Under the IRA? You mean those grants that were keeping you afloat as a farmer? And now those have been repealed because the tangerine tyrant decided to come in and make a difference. You know, I'm going to make a difference for you guys. Okay, cool. Government subsidies keep farms alive. USAID that they're gutting and getting rid of entirely. USAID bought crops from the farms to distribute throughout the rest of the world for our humanitarian aid, as well as throughout the country for natural disasters. Now those contracts are gone because you got rid of the USAID. And this is what happens. Thank you, Miss Lisa. I appreciate that comment. But they bought this hook, line, and sinker. Great way I saw it put. One of the greatest deceptions of our time is the lie that a single mom on welfare or a kid getting free school lunch is the problem, instead of the ultra rich hoarding more wealth than billions of people have combined and getting tax breaks for doing so. You know, if they weren't hoarding it that way, maybe the phrase wouldn't be eat the rich. Maybe it'd be something else. Maybe we would call it something different. But instead, we're sticking with eat the damn rich. I firmly believe in the idea that if you make $999 million, when you hit that, you get your name on a plaque at a dog park somewhere that says, so-and-so won capitalism. You won. But anything you make over, no one should have $1 billion. But yet, we've got these bureaucrats and these oligarchs now, unelected, mind you. Again, we'll get off into Elon here in a second. Unelected billionaires making these decisions to fire these people. Make that make sense. If the Democrats did that, they would be absolutely losing their minds. Right? But it's okay whenever they do it. Logan Luther says, this admin and Doge is making rash cuts with a machete where a scalpel is needed. So well said, my brother. So well said. And there's multiple reasons behind it. I've really tried to stay on fact about what's happening and why it's happening. And it's difficult because Steve Bannon said it very well. The whole point is shock and awe. You come in right out of the gate. I'm talking right out of the gate. and start doing 3 crazy things a day and just overwhelm people and distract them and shock them and all at once. And that way the little, I don't want to say little piddly shit, but the smaller stuff just gets through. And it's big stuff, but it gets through. Just overwhelm people. And that's exactly what they're doing. So you're right. Making cuts with a machete when you should be using a scalpel. There's a point to all of this. It's coming. There's a point to every bit of this. Cousin Chris, what's up, man? Texted in saying, hey, buddy, it's good to see you. Meanwhile, I am proud of regular, right-thinking, forward-thinking American citizens. Have you seen these town halls all across the country where people are stepping up, talking to their representatives, talking to their governors, saying, hey, what the hell? What's this? Why? Speaking truth to power. People are getting drug out of these meetings, out of these town halls. Meanwhile, Marsha Blackburn in Tennessee, Senator Blackburn, today marks the 8-year anniversary. No, yesterday marked the 8-year anniversary since she's had a town hall. Why do you think that is? Anybody wonder why Marsha Blackburn has not had a town hall in 8 years of being in office? Cousin Chris says he's been busy. That's good. I'm glad you're busy, brother. I'm glad that you're out there making that paper. We're all going to need it. We're going to need to store up as much money as we possibly can. And we can't ask Marsha about this, why we're having to hoard this to ourselves, because we're not hoarding wealth. That's not what we as people are doing. We're not hoarding wealth. We're holding on to what little we can so we can have some sort of hope that if the shit hits the fan, we aren't going to be destitute. Out here hustling. Eggs are $14. And I know a lot of that's bird flu. I know that that's some of it. But why is it that they're not held to the same standard that we are? Why is it that when Joe Biden's in office, when a Democrat's in office, anybody on the left is in office, it's like, how dare they raise gas prices? How dare they let inflation happen like this? How dare they allow food prices to soar? But then whenever the Republicans are in charge and they're asked the same question, why is this going up? They're like, bro, the president's not in charge of fuel prices. We're not in charge of the price of groceries. We can't do anything about inflation. That's not how that works. Isn't it funny how that goes different for one side than it does for the other? I did see that last night at the White House, the Army Choir sang, "Do you hear the people sing?" from Les Miserables. Which was absolutely badass. If you don't know that song, "Do you hear the people singing the Song of Angry Men?" It's the the beating of the heart matches the beating of the drum. It's the anthem of a people who will not be slaves again. It's from the French Revolution, part of that scene in Les Miserables. And the Army Choir came out singing that at the White House. Talk about a middle finger. There are more of us than there are of them. From the text line says the cost of living is insane. I'm a single woman trying to survive. It's crazy. Hey, I'm a single dad. I'm a single man with a kiddo, and yeah, it's hard out here. From the text line, that would be the 2025 Misfits Market and Expo text line. It says the bigger question is how is bird flu impacting egg prices, but not the price of chicken? The math isn't mathing. Well, now we're asking the real questions, aren't we? Because I'm not seeing chicken prices soar, and I know that there's a difference, and yes. But yeah, isn't it crazy how eggs are through the roof? But if you wanted to go buy some chicken, it's not that much higher. Had this sent over right as I started. And I do not know who this is. It was sent over on the text line. I meant to get to it, but I got off on a little rant there. I did not know this. And Texture, I appreciate it. If you let me know who you are, I'll make sure to add your name into the list. Because I've got John Lovelace, I've got PJ, I've got Eddie V. I've got a few people programmed in so that I know who I'm talking to on the 2025 Misfits Market and Expo text line and call-in line. But they sent this over to start out the show. It says that in Barbados, when a citizen reaches 100 years old, they're honored with a postage stamp featuring their image. The tradition celebrates longevity and contributions to society. Isn't that cool? So when you hit 100 years old in Barbados, give you your own stamp. So this is from Chris Murphy out of Connecticut. He's a Democrat. He sent this over yesterday. So they were having an after-hours session of the House. He says it's 4 a.m. and we're still debating the Republicans' billionaire tax giveaway. 4 a.m. They're still talking about this tax giveaway. He said, we offered an amendment to say no tax cuts for those who make $10 million or over. We'll just call it that. If you make over $10 million, no tax cuts. Which seems crazy. And they said no. Every Republican voted no. He said, all right, so we tried 100 million. We offered an amendment to say that no tax cuts for those making over $100 million. Every Republican voted no. So they finally countered at 4 a.m. with $500 million, and every Republican voted no. Why? Something's going on. If you don't see it, meanwhile, I've got people on my timeline. I refuse to purge people from my timeline. Unless it's just so flagrantly. I mean, we all have those people that you have to just say, okay, this is, a bridge too far. This is a young lady that I went to high school with, and she says, wait till they audit the Cancer Association, $28 trillion over the last 100 years for research and still no cure. This one will be eye-opening. We all seen how quickly they developed something for COVID. First off, cancer and COVID are completely fucking different. Second off, they didn't do it that quick. It was an mRNA vaccine that was on the almost said the type of somebody text in and tell me what the name is. That type of vaccine, it's been around since the early 2000s. Josh Cohane would be screaming at me right now because he knows that he's probably screaming at his phone or his computer. Almost said it again. Regardless, those are very different. Same person also posted saying, the post right before that said, why is methadone free for addicts, but insulin is not for diabetics? And I'm like, oh, you accidentally got so close. You almost said the thing. You almost got there. It's like you're right, but you're wrong about the thing you're right about. You're killing me here. You're so close to being right. Just can't with these people sometimes. They refuse to understand. Like, most of us are 3 bad months away from being homeless or in a really bad shape. Most Americans are 3 real shit months away from being in a position where they don't know how they're going to recover from that. None of us are 3 good months away from being billionaires. None of us listening to this, talking to this, no one you know. I'll go that far. That's easy. That is an easy bet to make with y'all. Nobody that anybody here knows is 3 good months away from being a fucking billionaire. None of them. So whose side are you on? Why are you siding with the billionaires? Because America, I heard it put really well one time. America is full of a bunch of temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Well, when I'm a millionaire, I don't want them to tax me the way that they're trying to tax these people. Well, when I'm a millionaire, homie, you're never going to be a millionaire. I hate to break that to you. You're not going to be a millionaire. Like, after taxes, after everything, you just, at the end of the year, you have $1 million extra just to have. After all your bills are paid, everything, you got $1 million. That's not happening to you. Win the lottery or something, maybe. But most people will never see that kind of money in their life. Why are you defending them? I can't make it make sense. Somebody help me out here, because it doesn't make sense other than you're a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. Well, when I'm a millionaire, I hope that they don't come and take all my money. Do you think that's how this works? You're living in a dream world. Logan Luther says, Dropkick Murphy said it best. Which side are you on? Damn right. I know what side I'm on. I've said it before. I'll keep saying it. Bring back the guillotine. How many people do we have to... How many of them we got a guillotine before you think that they're going to make a change? Honest to God. How many? Before they go, shit. This ain't going to work. They're going to round us all up. Yes, we will. Every single one of you. I think I said it on the show a couple weeks ago before I took the break. You know, when they came for the unions, I didn't say anything because I wasn't a part of a union. When they came for the socialists, I didn't say anything because I wasn't really a socialist. When they came for the Jews, I didn't say anything because I was not Jewish. But when they came for me, there was nobody there to speak for me. They're coming for all of us. Without doubt, without question, they are coming for every single one of us. They don't care about you. They need you for your labor. That's why the Democratic Party is supposed to be the labor party. One thing you got to say about Bernie Sanders. I had this pulled up, actually, because I thought it was put really well. Bernie, who is not a Democrat, he has 3 things that the Democrats actually lack. 1, a comprehensive frame for viewing the world, for processing news about Trump, politics, and the realities of the economy. MAGAs have this too, though. They know what's going on, but so does Bernie. And he's on his Stop Oligarchy tour. This dude is literally doing the thing. He's going across the entire country, trying to talk to people in plain English that they can understand and say, This dude is an oligarch. They're all trying to make your life more difficult. These are unelected billionaires who are going to take your freedom and going to take your money. This is what is going to happen. You just travel in the country to tell people that. Number two, what does Bernie Sanders have that the Democrats seem to be lacking? Personal integrity, credibility, passion. Democrats aren't doing anything. They're a nothing party. They're not doing a damn thing. To hell with them. Same as the Republicans, same as the MAGA. To hell with them all. We need somebody else to step up and do something. But yes, he has personal integrity. He has credibility. He has passion. You can reject his frame. You can disagree with him on details, but no one doubts that he means what he says. He's been saying the same thing for 60 years. Good friend of mine named Jordan Vidham that I worked with at Wiseacre Brewing Company. That's where I met him when we were working at Wiseacre in Memphis. Jordan is from Burlington, Vermont, same state that Bernie's from, and same city. And Bernie used to stand at the bottom of the hill with the sign when he was a kid, when Jordan was a kid. This is 30 years ago, holding a sign, talking about what he's talking about right now today. It's the same message. It's the same everything. He was doing this 30 years ago. He was doing it 60 years ago. Bernie Sanders is consistent. So you can disagree with his framework. You can disagree with him on details. No one doubts he means what he says, though, because he's been consistent for 60 plus years. Another thing that he had a heart attack. At the last campaign, he had a heart attack. Bernie Sanders did. And he still has energy. That's number three. As old as he is still barnstorming the Midwest. He posted a thing, when was this? Just yesterday. Bernie Sanders posted, "Join us live now from Iowa City, where we're rallying to stop Trump and his Republican Party from taking away our health care, destroying good-paying union jobs, and eroding our democracy. Stop the oligarchy." We fucked up. We let the president that could have been never happen. Because he's a socialist. He wasn't going to take away any of your farming jobs. He was going to make sure that you were taken care of and just fine when they say, well, where's that money going to come from? We can't do this. You do realize those PPP loans that came out? Trillions of dollars. Billions and trillions of dollars. You know what they did? They forgave them all. Now, did it cause hyperinflation? Yeah, it's shitty. We shouldn't have done that. But don't say that we can't make up money. We're America. That's what we do. We just make up money. From the text line, it says, let's just take a poll of which politicians are okay with getting rid of Citizens United and be funded and elected by citizens rather than businesses, which is what Citizens United allows. It's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. The DNC, yeah, they screwed us in 2016. They made us feel like Bernie was not a good option. He's a radical socialist. No, he's not. He's not radical. He is dead center. He is a centrist for the rest of the world. I don't know how many times I have to explain this to people. Bernie Sanders is a fucking global centrist. The rest of the world looked at him like he's in the middle. But in America, he's considered a far left, whatever. We do not have a far left in America. We have a far right. We do not have a far left. Our left in America, our right of center, honestly. The Democrats, they are right of center. They are more right wing globally than most of that's just how these are facts. If you don't like it, you shouldn't have been listening to a show called Fact Around and Find Out. But given I know that the people who listen to this, they either care to hear the truth or they already believe this as well. And it just feels good to hear somebody else actually saying it. And that's That's why I consume some of the content that I consume. So I got it. And I appreciate you guys listening and being a part of the show very, very much. Very, very much. I got a lot of news I got to get into. That was a whole hour. We got 2 hours left. It's 12:08, coming up on 12:09. It says that it's 57 degrees where I'm sitting in North Jackson, Tennessee. If you guys will sit tight for just a second, I'm going to take a real quick break, and I will be right back. I promise.
Messages they sent me. Now that's assuming that they meant me. That just left me feeling empty. Things are changing now so quickly. I feel that history has picked me. I was a fool to think you'd miss me. Ain't it the truth or is it just me? Raise a glass now for everyone. All God's children under the sun. Raise a glass now for only me. Cold and broken, lonely me. I'm on my own. I'm on my own.
Welcome back. Back trying to find out a little bit of radio for the rest of us. I'm your host, Justin White. A little bit of Bahamas. Own Alone to bring us back in.
Feel so wealthy, too young to feel unhappy.
From the 2025 Misfit Market and Expo text line, it says, when Bernie meant what he said, he was crazy. When Ron Paul wanted to kill the IRS, he was also crazy. I don't align with either, but both were screwed. Yeah, right there with it. I do. See, I align with quite a bit. But you know that about me. I see no reason why we should be the wealthiest nation in the world. Well, one of the wealthiest nations in the world. And have the kind of wealth that we have and the kind of resources that we have as a nation, and have any kid that's going to school hungry. Because I thought that was the whole point of this, right? The kids. We're pro-life. No, you're pro-birth. Shut up. You're pro-birth. Once they're born, they're on their own. And oh, heaven forbid they be brown. What if they're brown kids? Clutch my pearls. What if they're brown kids? Shut up. Very selective about who you actually give a damn about. It drives me up the wall. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to tell you a little bit more about our friends over at the Misfit Market Expo. That's coming up the 29th and the 30th of March. Very excited to have partnered with them. I'll have a booth out there. Make sure if you get a chance to go see them. They're at the Jackson Fairgrounds this year. They have moved. It's March the 29th and 30th. A local shopping experience like you have never seen before. This one-of-a-kind annual event offers unique products for everyone. They welcome you to come and explore the diverse range of vendors that they have to offer. From handcrafted arts, tattoos, oddities, vintage goods, local food trucks, and so much more. They're going to have so many food trucks. I was talking with Dustin and Jessica the other day. They've got some killer food trucks coming. They've got a special little treat that's going to be on the outside, too. I don't know if they've released it yet, so I'm not going to say it. But some entertainment that's going to be outdoors. It's going to be quite a lot of fun. Mrs. Market Expo has something for everyone. Join them for an unforgettable experience at the 3rd Annual Expo. Again, it's going to be held at the Jackson Fairgrounds, March 29th and the 30th. And I'll be there. Come say hi. I've got a booth set up. I'll be doing a live stream. I'll have myself, my lovely microphone, and I'll have another one set up where I'll be doing interviews with vendors, patrons, people coming by and just want to say hi. And I'll be live streaming most of the day there. Come by, see me, meet me in person, have a little chit chat. Bring me some food from the food truck. We'll have a good time. But yeah, that's the 2025 Misfits Market and Expo. Happy to have partnered with them. Happy that they're sponsoring the call-in line or the text line. It's over here on the bottom of the screen. If you see somewhere right around there. Yep, 731-388-9080. Give me a call. Be a part of the show. Got lots of news to get to. A lot's been breaking over the last week that I've been out. A few folks are actually starting to push back against Elon Musk right now, it appears, over the OPM. I don't know how much good it's going to do. So let's get into what that actually says. Let's break it down here a little bit. This headline from The Guardian says, Elon Musk's demand that federal workers document what they do provokes chaos. FBI head Kash Patel going to take this personal opportunity to say he can just go straight to fake hell because he's just a loyalist like the rest of them. He tells agents to pause responses to the order, as unnamed Pentagon official calls it the silliest thing in 40 years. Elon Musk has poured fuel on the fire raging against the United States government over his ultimatum that federal workers document what they do at their jobs or face dismissal. And I get it. A lot of people will say, well, that should be easy. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to say what you do while you're at work. That should be easy. Okay, that's a good talking point, sure. And there's a lot of government waste. We know that. In the military alone, the military-industrial complex is full of waste. There are Jeeps sitting parked where the tires have rotted on them because they've been sitting in storage for that long. Because we ordered them, they're sitting there. We know this. Well, let's just take a second here. He wants them to document what they do at their jobs or face dismissal by attacking a Pentagon official who had criticized the scheme as, quote, the silliest thing I've seen in 40 years. The billionaire businessman slash first lady, Elon Musk, Felon Musk, see what I did there? Who has been authorized by Donald Trump to slash the federal bureaucracy as head of the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. The name Doge, by the way, still doesn't sit right with me. I do not like it. I do not like that it's called Doge. I do not like that it's named after a damn Bitcoin or something. I don't like it. It stoked the flames in a post on his social media platform, obviously X, on Sunday night. So this is last night. He slammed the unnamed Department of Defense official quoted by CNN saying that anyone with the attitude of that Pentagon official needs to look for a new job. But you hurt my feelings. Oh my gosh, you hurt my feelings. And I just can't, I'm not going to stand for that, okay? And I think that you need to be fired. Daddy Donald, can I fire him, please? Please, 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 let me fire him. Does it sound like that to anybody else? Is that just me? The official was one of many senior federal figures who, speaking to the press anonymously, because they are all having to speak anonymously. There's a lot of folks who are actually speaking out against this, but every one of them is having to keep some level of anonymity. Otherwise, they run the risk of, obviously, like immediate termination. But that official, he decried Musk's latest ruse to spread fear and chaos across federal agencies. Now, he did the same thing with X when he took over Twitter. This is the same thing he did at Twitter. You do remember that he lost, what was it, $43 billion when he bought Twitter? It lost $43 million. That's absurd. That official said, quote, it's the silliest thing I've seen in 40 years and completely usurps the chain of command. That's what the official told CNN. The official added that responding to Musk's ultimatum, quote, might be done elsewhere, but not in the Department of Defense. It's not done at the DOD. Mind you, we're talking about the Pentagon. We're talking about the CIA. We're talking about USAID, which is just going to go away now. Apparently, there's been a handful of people who have actually seen some of these backpack-wearing 20-year-old college dropouts walking into some of these government buildings. They say that they have, from what some insiders are saying, they're putting bags and plastic over the windows and taping them up so that there's no light that's allowed to come in. And they're sitting there just peeking through the data, just going through whatever they want to see. You know, when they fired all the guys in charge of the nukes, tell me you saw this. They fired all these people, but then they wanted to hire them back. They're like, shit, that was a horrible idea. Whose idea was, oh, it was our idea? Well, that was a bad one, even though it was ours. We got to hire these people back. When they fired them, they deleted all of their email accounts, and they can't get in touch with them. They're having to go back through records of tax record to find what their last known address was. But some of them have moved since then. You know, the folks who are in charge of the nukes. In a separate message, let's see. Musk's ultimatum was sent out on Saturday in a mass email to federal employees from the Office of Personal Management. It's the OPM. So if you hear me refer to OPM, it's the Office of Personal Management. It gave all the United States government, more than 2 million workers, a little less than 48 hours to itemize their accomplishment in the last week in 5 bullet points. On a separate message, Musk indicated that failure to respond will be taken as a resignation. Not how that works. Can't do that. Sorry, can't. You can't do that. That's not what that doesn't mean that. Now, you can fire my ass, but you can't just say, well, you didn't respond, so I'm going to consider that your resignation. No, you can fire me because I did not respond. I chose not to do that, and you can consider that insubordination. And so you can fire me, but you cannot think that my silence is a resignation. A toddler would understand that, you know. They say somebody with 2 brain cells holding hands, a monkey with a tumor on his ear would understand that. The order provoked instant chaos across the government, with Trump's own appointed leadership and federal agencies responding in a starkly different way, some of them. Workers at Social Security's administration and the Health and Human Services Department were told to comply with the email, while in other departments, employees were instructed to await further orders or to simply ignore the email from Elon Musk. It's very different. You've got some people saying, yeah, you have to do it. And others saying, hell no. Sit tight. There's no way this is legal. There's no way this is going to stick. The new director of the FBI, Trump uber loyalist and bootlicker extraordinaire. I mean, his breath tastes like leather at this point. Kash Patel told agents to please pause any responses. Employees with the Homeland Security Department were similarly informed that, quote, no reporting action from you is needed at this time. From the peanut gallery in the comments, Adam Bain says, what did you expect? Electing a man whose catchphrase is literally, you're fired. Brother, keep bringing that heat. You're just bringing the bangers here, Adam. Yes. What did you expect? It's like, the guy's firing a bunch of people. That was the literal catchphrase on his television show. Yes. Adam coming with the knowledge. Despite Musk's retort to the anonymous Pentagon official, all employees at the Department of Defense, who now answer to the former Fox News host and Trump acolyte Pete Hegseth as defense secretary, were also told to pause to respond to the OPM missive. We live in a world that makes no sense. At least 20,000 federal workers have so far been fired by the Trump administration, most of them recent hires on probationary periods who lack employment protections. In addition, the White House claims that more than 75,000 employees have now accepted a buyout. So 75,000 employees have accepted a buyout. 20,000 have been fired so far. That's, I mean, math is math, and I ain't even that good at it, but we're just shy of 100,000 federal employees without jobs. I had a buddy who was working for USDA. Different than the message I read earlier. Got a buddy working for the USDA. Lost his job last week. He's a conservative Christian. He's a good guy. I do not agree with all of his views. I do not necessarily agree with all of his lifestyle as a conservative Christian. But he's a good man. His wife is a sweetheart. I think they might have been the closeted, like, Kamala voters. I don't know. But he lost his job. He was on that probationary period. He lost his job. It was all I could do not to comment on his post when he was like, I hate this. And say, yeah, but did you vote for it? Because a lot of people voted for this, and now they're really unhappy about it. So this purge has prompted speculation that Trump is engaging in one of the biggest job-cutting rounds in U.S. history. Back to what Adam said, his literal catchphrase was, "You're fired," which could have powered a knockout effect on the American economy. We're going to have the strongest economy. We're going to have the greatest economy. Everyone will say so. Start by firing 100,000 people. I'm not a fan of a lot of these things. The CIA's corrupt as hell. But you know what we probably ought not do? Fire a bunch of the CIA. Gut the Pentagon. Cut the DOD. Yeah, there's fraud there. Yes, there's money that's spent that that absolutely should not be spent in the ways that it is. Without question, without a doubt in my mind. Yes. Is this the way to do it? Fuck no. This is not the way to do that. And anybody who thinks it is just falling in line. Drinking the Kool-Aid, Flavor-Aid. Drinking the Flavor-Aid. So some of Trump appointees, like I said, appear to contradict Musk for the first time as a pushback to that OPM email. A rift appeared to open Sunday between some of the president's agency's heads and Elon Musk. The billionaire tasked with reforming the federal government, which it pains me to have to say those words out loud. The billionaire, the unelected billionaire, who has been tasked with reforming the federal government, is demanding that all federal employees state their weekly accomplishments or risk termination. By Sunday evening, leaders of the Pentagon, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the State Department, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Energy, and all of the other related departments under those instructed their staff now to not reply to the OPM, the Office of Personnel Management. How professional is this? They literally sent an email that was titled, "What did you do last week?" Pretty professional, huh? Some managers, including the Department of Health and Human Services, instructed workers to comply with the request. Send a list of 5 accomplishments from the past week to a generic government email address, only to later reverse course. Simply tell their staffs to wait until Monday and not to reply to the note before then. I'm going to look this up real quick because I wanted to share it with you guys. Because this is technically not illegal. Because it's an open email account. Oh, I just saw it. I'll find it in the break, and I'll give you guys the email address. Because technically what you can do is if you just sign up that email, you sign up for any spam account that sends you weekly subscriptions or whatever, and you just send you spam, you can use that government email because it's an open email. It's not a government email at all, actually. You can just use that, and we can fill that dude up with so much spam to where it becomes basically useless, and it crashes the servers. I've already done it. I just can't remember I have to look it up in my phone. I've already done it. I signed it up for all kinds of goofy stuff. Some managers, including the Department of Health and Human Services, instructed workers to comply with the request, like I said, to send the 5 accomplishments of the past week to a generic government email address, And now they're saying to hold out. Just wait for a second. The White House did not respond to a request for comment about the apparent discrepancy between Musk's directive and the guidance provided by agency heads. Weird. The scramble to discern Trump and Musk's exact intentions with the email added another layer of uncertainty to an already rattled federal workforce. It seems to set up a shakedown between some agency heads who were appointed by Trump himself, who are all considered loyalists to his cause, and Musk, who's paid little mind to the strict chains of command that dictate life within federal bureaucracy. That's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when you put somebody who's not elected in charge. He doesn't have to play by the same rules. He's not elected. He can do whatever he wants to do, as long as it's not illegal. And even if it is, it's not like he's not the president's little plaything, or maybe the other way around. Because honestly, Donald Trump sitting in the cuck, when they made the desk at the Oval Office, like the cuck chair, I got to be honest, that was weird. Amid the confusion, Musk showed no signs of easing up. He's not going to. He made a post on X yesterday. Said, quote, all caps, extremely troubling that some parts of government think this is too much. What is wrong with them? What's wrong with them? What's wrong with you? Musk's efforts faced criticism from Republicans over the weekend, including Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who highlighted what she called an absurd weekend email. Here's the problem. You decided y'all were going to vote for this guy. Y'all decided y'all were going to stand behind him, and now that he's doing all these things, he's letting Elon Musk make these decisions. What are you going to do? Like, Republican senator from Alaska, Lisa Murkowski, what are you going to do? You supported this. You let him get there. I guarantee you that she voted in favor of this. You know she did. So what? Now she's looking at it going, I don't know what to do. I'm like, yeah, this is exactly this is what you get. And now you're mad? Shut up. From the Misfits Market and Expo text line, 388-9080. It says, Pumpkin Spice Palpatine is only interested in his own ego and those who will stroke it. Whether it comes in the form of loyalty or flattery, he's a malleable narcissist. Yeah. I'll slow clap that. No, all right. I got it. I'm ready. Yeah. Malleable. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, no, it's exactly that. He doesn't care so long as people tell him. It's like I always made the joke. It's like sometimes you just want somebody to hug your neck and kiss your face and tell you your dick's special. He is the epitome of that. I promise. You're the best. But here's where we are. So if Elon wants to, let's see what this said. Murkowski, the senator. Oh, it's Leslie. Thanks for giving me your name so that I can enter that in. I appreciate that. LB. So the Alaskan senator, Lisa Murkowski, said if Elon Musk wants to understand what federal workers accomplished over the past week, he should get to know each department and agency and learn about the jobs he's trying to cut. Well, that's absurd. That's absurd. Yeah. But also, you supported this and you voted for this shit. So your opinion means very little to me. It sounds a lot like buyer's remorse to me on behalf of the senator from Alaska. He's going to sell your state to Canada or Russia overnight, and into Sunday, senior officials at every agency work to provide their employees guidance on how to proceed. Among the first to advise against responding was Kash Patel, which is shocking, to be honest. Because, again, that bootlicker, he's loyal to Trump. He's not loyal to Musk. Which, fine. But he was just sworn in as the FBI director. He says the FBI, through the office of the director, is in charge of all review processes and will conduct reviews in accordance with FBI procedures. That's the most legit, honest thing that I've heard him say. He said, when and if further information is required, we will coordinate the responses. For now, please pause any responses. He's saying, don't respond to these people. Leave it alone. By Sunday, a flurry of other agencies, many tasked with protecting the nation's safety and national security, followed suit. Even as Trump suggested online, he was still behind the plan. That's kind of the problem here. Trump saying, no, but this is fine. This is a quote. Quote, the Department of Defense is responsible for reviewing the performance of its personnel and will conduct any review in accordance with its own procedures. That's Derek Selnick, acting Undersecretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness. He wrote that on Sunday. When and if required, the department will coordinate responses to the email you've received from OPM. For now, please pause any response to the OPM email titled, "What did you do last week?" Does this not sound like middle school to anybody else? I think a girl sends a boy, or either way, it doesn't matter. I'm going to use it this way. A girl sends a boy, like a do you like me? Yes, no, maybe. I need it by the end of the day. XOXO, some balloons and some hearts. And then the boy's talking with his friends. They're like, homie, you don't have to send that back. But the girl's like, if you don't send it back, the deal's off the table. I'm going to move on to the next guy. It's the most middle school sounding shit. Multiple senior Defense Department officials told CNN that the email thrust their weekend into chaos as they tried to determine what to tell employees about how to respond. Again, that same quote from that anonymous official said, quote, "It is the silliest thing I've seen in 40 years and completely usurps the chain of command. That might be done elsewhere, but in the DOD, it is not done. The Department of Defense, this is not how you fire people." And I'll reiterate, when they said that a lack of response to the email from the OPM asking what you did this last week, what did you accomplish, a lack of response would be considered a resignation. That shit's illegal. That's not how this works. You don't get to do that. You don't get to just say, all right, we didn't respond, so. No, that's not how this works. Homeland Security personnel received a message from the department's Deputy Undersecretary for Management, R.D. Allies, telling them not to respond for now, according to an email obtained by CNN. Because you have to think about it this way. If they do respond, there's a chance they're going to put themselves in a position where now they've complied technically. You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that. Because then it's like you began to play the game, and now they can say, well, you started. So now there's consequences. If you don't play at all, if you never engage, and your director tells you don't engage, and you don't engage, that's a lot easier way to cover your ass than to engage a little bit and then say, I don't know, maybe that wasn't the best idea. No, the only thing to do is not play. You don't play their game. Speak truth to power. It's the same thing that's going on all across our country right now, where you're seeing people go to their these local town halls across multiple states. I mean, all across our country. People are getting drug out because they're looking at their elected officials and they're saying, WTF? Like, what is this? What do you mean? and they can't give him an answer. They're just spewing more Donald Trump and MAGA talking points. And at least some of these people, and I am honestly shocked that Kash Patel is one of them, as the FBI director who clearly is a bootlicker and clearly a uber Trump loyalist, but he doesn't like Elon Musk. So even he's going, all right, sit tight. Everybody just sit tight. So the Department of Homeland Security Management will respond on behalf of the department. Isn't that awesome? The DHS management says, we'll speak on behalf of all of the department and all of its component offices. Just do not say a word. There is no reason for you to respond to this. Do not say a word. No reporting action from you is needed at this time. For now, please pause any responses outside of your DHS chain of command. Yes. That's how this is supposed to work. Yes. And the State Department informed its far-flung workforce that they, too, were not obligated to respond. Didn't tell them not to, but you're not obligated to. You don't have to say a word. We do not negotiate with terrorists. The State Department will respond on behalf, obviously, saying stick with the chain of command. The Department of Health and Human Services told employees Sunday morning that the email was legitimate and that staffers should read and respond by 11:59. That's DHHS. Because the deadline is tonight, Monday night, 11:59. But the agency reversed its guidance on Sunday afternoon, telling employees to pause activities and answering the email. Hey, wait. Actually, we thought about this a little bit. Don't do it. Employees at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, National Institutes of Health, and the Food and Drug Administration, which are all a part of HHS, had already been told by individual agencies to wait until Monday for more guidance on how to respond. And on Sunday afternoon, staffers at these divisions received an email from HHS telling them to pause responding. It goes back to, I'll pull it back up, because I thought it was very astute. Get ready, because the FBI, the DOD are about to have a historic week of extreme change, massive job cuts, honorable careers killed, demands for military loyalism, more lies, false conspiracies, and destructive orders that halt or damage security affairs, domestic and international. That's what Kevin Barron was saying. And I believe that. Unless, mind you, unless this starts happening. Unless people stand up and say, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. We take care of our house. We take care of, so under Health and Human Services, HHS, like you say, Center for Disease Control and Prevention, National Institutes of Health, the Food and Drug Administration, all of those and more fall under HHS. Cool, Elon. Make me. What, you're going to fire him? Make me. Do it. Go fire him. You're an unelected billionaire bureaucrat. Do it. Come and fire him. How? Under whose directive? Under whose order? Well, Trump's saying that he still sticks with the plan. He likes the plan at hand, and he's fine with it. Okay, then fucking do it. Do it. Not going to. And if he does, you talk about an uprising. We might all disagree. Isn't it funny how we're all of a sudden all defending the IRS? How we're all of a sudden defending Health and Human Services, which most of that's fine. We're defending the CIA. We're defending the FBI all of a sudden because now we're looking at these people like people. We're looking at less like the bureaucracy that it is. We're like, these are humans, though. These are fellow Americans, and you can't just cut their jobs. They have families. They feed people. You can't. I might disagree with how they're ran, but you can't just take away Americans' livelihoods like that and just say, nope, boom. Thanos looking ass. That's not what we do here. Employees at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which we talked about the CFPD 2 weeks ago on the show. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which the Trump administration is hoping to dismantle entirely, they received an email from the agency's chief operating officer Sunday directing them to respond to the email by the deadline. That's concerning. However, many of the Bureau's employees were told to stop working by acting head Russell Vought earlier this month. The email then received on Sunday said, CFPD leadership understands that certain work tasks have stopped. If you are not able to perform tasks and work as a result, you may reply and simply reference that you were complying with the current work stoppage. Make that, just let it stew for a second. The people that were told to stop working, that they're already dismantling, got the email saying, what did you do last week? And they said, okay, well, look, if you got the email and you want to respond, just say you were told that you were complying because you were already told that you didn't have to work. There's a work stoppage. Not all of Trump's appointees overseeing federal workers handling sensitive information were as straightforward or reticent as that. Ed Martin, the interim D.C. U.S. attorney who had publicly tried to curry favor with Musk, told his prosecuting office they could choose to comply in general fashion or not. He wrote on Saturday, quote, we're happy to participate. Please respond to the HR email carefully with regard to confidentiality and our duties. Be general if you need to. If anyone gives you problems, I've got your back. You're good. The prosecutors in the office would regularly handle work on matters they may not be classified, but some were, but could be protected under grand jury secrecy under seal by the court or are protected from disclosure for other reasons. But early Sunday morning, they emailed the office that he leads again, saying he was quick to pass along the request from Doge, which I hate every time I have to say that word, to help encourage them. He says, let me clarify, we'll all comply with this OPM request, whether by replying or deciding not to reply. Isn't that hilarious? We'll comply by replying or not replying. Please make a good faith effort to reply and list your activities or not, as you prefer, and I will, as I mentioned, have your back regarding any confusion. So what do you think? I'm of the opinion they're going to fire all these people. That's just what's going to happen. They're just going to fire them. Unless there's a large sea change, they are going to fire them. And by the way, Leslie Beach, Pumpkin Spice Palpatine, such a good name for Donald Trump. I like the Tangerine Tyrant. I like the Orange Oligarch. I stick to the Cheeto flavored asshole. But yeah, Pumpkin Spice Palpatine is really good. I do like the alliteration. So this is what they're doing. Wherever you work, if you were to get a letter from somebody who is not your boss, just one of your boss's friends, that you know gave your boss some money, but is not your boss, and says, hey, by the way, I need to know what you guys got accomplished this last week. Otherwise, we're going to shit can you. You're fired. Just let me know. Would you respond to that? You'd look at your direct superior, somebody in middle management, I suppose, and say, what do we do? Leslie Beach says, mango Mussolini. Jesus, that's so good. Bringing the heaters today. I appreciate that, LB. But I mean, that's essentially what we're looking at right now. We're looking at somebody who is not their boss, somebody who's not in charge of them. Have I mentioned that Congress has to be involved whenever a president or the executive branch decides to make any sort of new department, be it the Department of Education, the State Department, Department of the Interior, Department of Transportation. That takes Congress to create a department. However, the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, I'm going to call it Dogie. Doge was just made by executive order. It was never discussed by Congress. They just said, okay, fuck it, let's go. So now they have that department. What do we do? Because it's not really an actual department, but no one's standing up against it. No one's bucking it. Why? Why is nobody in the Republican Party bucking it? And furthermore, why in the world are the Democrats not throwing a fit? I know they're useless. Trust me, I know the Democrats are a useless party. It still should be shocking. And again, the only person we've got standing up and doing anything about this is Bernie Sanders. He is the only person taking it upon himself to tour the country on a Stop Oligarchy tour. And now he's too old to be president. I'd still vote for him. I mean that. With my whole chest, I mean that. I would still vote for that man right now. I don't care that he's had a heart attack. I don't care that he's 1,006 years old. I don't care. I would still vote for Bernie Sanders right now. Because what we have as options now are not good. It's all bad. So Donald Trump decided he was going to go talk about the old Ukraine. You know, we've been supporting them for 3 years, right? And people say it's good, it's bad, we shouldn't donate money to them. Now, the first group of people that's like, we got to stop sending money to Ukraine are just fine with us sending money to support a genocide in Palestine, right? That's fine. Well, because Hamas are terrorists. Okay. All the Palestinian people are not Hamas, though. I saw a gentleman this morning say, out of Ada, Oklahoma. I see Bailey over there saying, feel the burn. Absolutely. No, I saw a gentleman say that this last weekend out of Ada, Oklahoma, that a woman, a pregnant woman, got shot by a sniper and was definitely dying. And people rushed out to help her, but as they did, they couldn't get to her because the sniper had wounded a few of the people trying to aid and help. The sniper was trying to pick them off too. In Ada, Oklahoma. And then he said, wait, that didn't happen. But it did happen this weekend in Gaza. And if that makes you feel differently now that you heard that it was not in Ada, Oklahoma, that it was actually in Gaza, and it makes you feel differently about it, then you're a shitty person. And you should really think about where your head's at. As far as what those bullets, those American bullets, might not have been an American sniper, but that money and that ammunition came from our dollars. And that's a real story that happened in Gaza. So we're okay with sending money to Israel, right? But not to the Ukraine. Okay. Somebody's going to have to make some of that make sense to me. So Trump gets out and he says a bunch of crazy shit because that's just what he does. When Vladimir Putin invaded the Ukraine 3 years ago, Joe Biden rallied the world. Again, not a big Biden fan. Just not. Do I think he's better than Trump? I guess. I don't know. He was complacent in a genocide. He's not good people. He's also a career, lifelong politician. And just fuck that. I don't like the idea that anybody's a career politician. That's not how it's supposed to work. So I don't like him, but I guess I like him a little bit more than Donald Trump. So the United States, though, under Joe Biden, with its partners, they isolated Russia, poured tens of billions of dollars in arms, cash, and loans into Vladimir Zelensky's then battered country, as Putin refused to yield. America stands up to bullies. This is what Biden said from the White House. I remember he's like, hey, America stands up to bullies. We stand up for freedom. Okay, Jack, that's who we are. My Biden impression is getting better. Impersonation. But that was then. Now on the anniversary of the Russian invasion, the Biden's administration of, quote, nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine has been tossed aside by President Donald Trump and his advisors. Trump lashed out at the Ukraine, blaming its leaders for Putin's invasion and cutting Kyiv out of early negotiations with Russia, to the shock of American allies. Think about this. You're talking with, you got two nations. We've got Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. Their nations are at war. We step in and say, we're going to handle this. But all you do is go talk to one side, not the other. And then he starts taunting the Ukraine, the country being invaded. He's taunting Zelensky, who he called a dictator. He was rebuked by European leaders and a bunch of Ukraine supporting lawmakers in the United States. Trump said earlier this month, I'm just here to try and get peace. Bullshit. He said, I don't care so much about anything other than I want to stop having millions of people killed. Does that apply to Gaza and the Palestinians as well? Does that apply to the West Bank? So, a good way to go about this, and I enjoy it very much every time, is let's do a little fact checking. This is from the BBC. So I don't know how many of you guys saw the last night of CPAC when Trump spoke. So Steve Bannon did the Heil Hitler Nazi salute that Elon Musk had done. And there was a third gentleman who did the Heil. They're slowly working this in, by the way. This is just what's happening. But President Trump spoke shortly before that from Mar-a-Lago about what's going on with Russia and the Ukraine. Speaking to reporters, Trump also made claims about President Volodymyr Zelensky's popularity and observed that the Ukraine had yet to hold scheduled elections due to martial law. He later doubled down on those comments in a fiery Truth Social post on Wednesday. Trump's accusations, some of which appeared to mirror Russian talking points about the war, which is a problem, came just hours after U.S. officials met a Russian delegation to open talks to end the conflict, which has raged for, like I said, almost 3 years now. Zelensky later accused Trump of, quote, living in a disinformation space created by Russia. Yeah. Absolutely. So the BBC verified and decided to fact check some of these claims. I've looked at these across multiple outlets, and the BBC's spot on with all of them. So I'm just going to use theirs because it's just as easy. So Trump claimed that Volodymyr Zelensky is a dictator without elections. That was one of the claims he made. Trump initially drew attention to the fact that Ukraine has not held a presidential election since 2019, when Zelensky, previously a comedian that didn't really have a political base, swept to power. If you don't know the way that Zelensky even got into politics, he was a comedian. He was on a comedy show where he played the president. And he made a comment saying, I'm an actor, and I would be a better president than their president. And this is like the Reader's Digest version. People said, all right, then run. And he did, and he won. He repeated the claims in a Truth Social post in which he accused the Ukrainian leader of being, quote, a dictator without elections. Zelensky's first 5-year term of office was due to come to an end in May of 2024. However, Ukraine has been under martial law since the Russian invasion of February of 2022, which means elections are suspended. That in no way is making him a dictator. Ukraine's martial laws were drafted in 2015, shortly after Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula and years before Zelensky and his Servant of the People Party came to power. So this was a thing way before Zelensky was even in power, that martial law would be in place and elections would be suspended if you were in this type of a situation. Independent observers from the OSCE in the 2019 election had been competitive and fundamental freedoms were generally respected. Zelensky won 73% of the vote in the second round runoff. 73%. He's vowed to hold a new election once the conflict ends and is yet to confirm that he intends to even stand. He's not said he's even going to run. There's a good chance that this will be over and he'll go, that was all for me, thanks. Some experts have observed that holding elections in the Ukraine before the conflict ends would be practically impossible as Russia attacks on many cities persist and millions of citizens are displaced abroad or living under Russian occupation. So how in the actual hell would you have an election? Trump's intervention on the subject came just hours after the Kremlin questioned Zelensky's legitimacy of his term in office and said a claim that Moscow has repeatedly made in the last couple of months. On the 28th of January, Russian President Vladimir Putin called Zelensky an illegitimate leader in an interview with Russian media. Referring to the electoral situation, Trump appeared aware that it had been a frequent Russian allegation used to undermine Zelensky, saying in his news conference, "That's not a Russian thing. That's something coming from me, from other countries." But it's not. It's exactly a Russian thing. You're repeating the Kremlin's talking points and furthermore, just Vladimir Putin's talking points. That's exactly what he's doing. So false. He is not an unelected dictator. He is elected. He's not a dictator. They're allowed to suspend elections in conflict with that many people displaced. And they're still being invaded and bombed. And he says they're going to hold another election the second the conflict is resolved, and there's a chance that he's not even going to run. The second claim would be when Trump said, "I hate to say it, but he's down 4% approval ratings." So that was a claim that Volodymyr Zelensky is at a 4% approval rating. President Trump also claimed that Zelensky's approval rating had fallen possibly below 4%, but at least at 4%. It's unclear what source the president was citing, as he didn't provide any evidence, because he just doesn't. He's like, it's the biggest crowd. Everyone says so. Huge crowd. Everyone loves it. Citing no evidence. And multiple news outlets and agencies, including the BBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, NPR, have all asked the White House. And that goofy woman, Caroline Leavitt, press secretary, asked, what's the evidence? And the White House refuses to clarify this. Official polling is limited. It's extremely difficult to carry out accurate surveys during a time of war. Millions of Ukrainians have fled, and Russia's occupied around about a fifth of the country. That's a lot. It's a small country, but that's still a lot. However, some polling has been possible to carry out by telephone. Mind you, he was voted in by 73% of the population. A survey conducted this month found that 57% of Ukrainians said that they trusted the president, according to the Ukraine-based Kyiv International Institute of Sociology. However, that was down from 77% at the end of 2023 and 90% in May of 2022, suggesting that the president has suffered a drop in his popularity. Sure, yes. Some other polls suggest that Zelensky's trailing his nearest rival, former Army Chief Valery, let me see if I can pronounce this last name, Zaluzhnyi, in the first round of any future election, indicating the two would face off in a runoff. Okay. In the wake of Trump's comments, some major Russian media outlets seized on the claim and cited a poll carried out by Ukrainian MP and Zelensky critic Alexander Dubinsky on Telegram, which claimed that Trump's assessment was correct. But Dubinsky's been charged with treason in the Ukraine and accused of operating at the behest of a Russian intelligence official. And so you can't really believe what he's saying. From the comment section, Logan says, he talked about Zelensky like that, but noticed he never mocks or talks about Putin like that. Odd. You mean the actual oligarch? Well, he's not. I mean, he's sort of an oligarch. But you mean the actual leader of an oligarchy? Yeah, of course he doesn't speak about him that way. He'll talk about Zelensky that way, but he'll never talk about Vlad that way. But what he will do is mirror a lot of his talking points. That's the whole thing when he said, I'll end the war in 24 hours. Well, yeah, because you'll just give them to Russia, right? I'll end the war in 24 hours. Well, I guess technically that's ending the war, but... And now he's saying, all right, so what land is already... This is what pisses me all the way off. One of his agreements right now that he's making with Putin, but not talking to Zelensky about, is saying, okay, here's what we'll do. Whatever land, that fifth of Ukraine that Russia is occupying, they just get to keep that. And then y'all just sit down and shut up, and y'all get to keep what y'all were able to defend. But we'll just allow Putin to, whatever he conquered and was able to get, yeah, that's yours now. You just get to have that. What kind of arrangement is that? That's not a good deal. How would the UK feel about that? How would America feel about that if that happened to us? How would literally any sovereign nation feel about that? All right, well, the invaders, they get to keep whatever they were able to actually occupy. Because the rule should be, you got to get the hell out. Okay, you occupied that? Yeah, well, the war's over. We made a treaty, we did whatever, but now you have to leave. Because that's our country. You're in our country. Nah, if you're able to capture it, that's just yours now. And that makes no sense. From the Misfits Market and Expo text line, PJ says, most don't realize the U.S. actually caused the war in Ukraine. We put over 28 cyber bases in Ukraine in the 60 days. In response, Russia saw it as an advancement, which was on Trump's presidency, but now he's the savior. I'm going to have to look into that some. I know that we put some stuff there, but there's a reason we put stuff there, because we had an arrangement with them that they would get rid of nukes. And in turn, we would help them out. But that shouldn't be a threat to Russia. That's the whole thing. If you're not doing something wrong, Russia, then what do you care? It's not an invasion of your privacy. It's not hurting you. And then my favorite claim that they made before I hit this next break, so I'm going to have to take one before I come back to finish up the third and final hour of the show. The claim that was, he said that Ukraine should have never started this. And PJ, I am going to look into that, brother. I want to tear off into that a little bit, so I promise I will. I try to stay as informed as I possibly can be. The fact that he said the Ukraine should have never started this. Well, obviously, Ukrainian authorities expressed dissatisfaction over not being a part of the talks on Tuesday. But Trump dismissed the concerns, telling reporters that Ukraine had 3 years to end the war, and then blamed Kyiv for starting the conflict. How? He said, you should have never started it. And the Kremlin has previously accused the Ukraine of starting the war against Russia as well. Weird. Nobody in Ukraine invaded Russia. So I don't know. It seems like the invading force is probably the ones who started it. Quote, it was they who started the war in 2014. Our goal is to stop this war. We did not start this war in 2022. That's what Russian President Vladimir Putin told U.S. talk show host Tucker Carlson back in February of 2024. And, you know, these are some of the most reliable people on the planet. I mean, let's be honest. The Kremlin and their staff, Vladimir Putin, Tucker Carlson. I mean, these are like the most reputable sources. Ukraine didn't start the war, period. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February of 2022, 3 years ago. to the day today, actually, after having annexed Crimea in 2014. That's just what happened. The annexation came after Ukraine's pro-Russia president was ousted by popular demonstrations. Yeah, that's how they got Volodymyr Zelensky. Trump keeps saying that the Ukraine could have made a deal earlier. I don't know how. They tried. Russia also backed proxy forces who seized areas of eastern Ukraine, and it accused the new government in Kyiv of discrimination and genocide against Russian speakers. And the International Court of Justice, though, well, they just rejected all that. They said, no, that didn't happen. After the failure of agreements which aimed to end the post-2014 conflict, Russia began a massive buildup of troops on its border with Ukraine back in 2021. That was leading up to all of this. Putin launched the invasion on the 24th of February, 2022. Like I said, 3 years ago to this day, stating that the aim of the operation was to, quote, demilitarize and denazify. We're going to denazify the Ukraine. You know, the Ukraine, classically known for their Nazis. When I think Nazi, I think Ukraine. Makes zero sense. He said he wanted the pro-Western government of Volodymyr Zelensky for his own, and he wanted to prevent the country from joining NATO. See, now we've got one actual factual thing that Vladimir Putin said. He wants to stop them from joining NATO. Okay. Well, he got that with Trump. Trump did that for him. They were not a NATO member. They were applying to be a NATO member, but they were a NATO ally, which does afford you some some benefits from NATO. They want to be a NATO member. And they were applying to be, and Joe Biden was going to let them try to do that. Again, not a Biden fan, but at least he was going to let him try. Now Donald Trump says, absolutely not. You're not going to be a part of this. And so in turn, Europe says, all right, cool. Well, we're going to start having meetings without you because we're going to try to become independent of the United States. And we do not want to have ourselves in a position where we have to be reliant on the United States in any way. So I hope that Putin boot tastes good. Mango Mussolini, as Leslie Beach would say. Pumpkin Spice Palpatine. Because you were going to have to rely on them, I guess. You're going to have to rely on them. Because Europe's trying to walk away from this. In the Ukraine's last parliamentary elections, support for far-right candidates was 2%. So what was that about Nazis? 2% for far-right candidates. Nazis are not left-wing. It should also be noted that Zelensky's Jewish and that his party's been regarded as centrist. You mean the Jewish Nazi? Hilarious. While NATO officials said in 2021 that Ukraine was a candidate to join the Western Alliance in the future, it was not part of any formal process at that point. But it was working on it, working towards it. But it was not there yet. Again, they were a NATO ally, not a NATO member. But Trump threw that one all the way out. That's not a thing we're going to do anymore. So, congratulations. You got what you wanted. Putin. He's going to get what he wants. That's just that's the long and the short of it. He's going to get what he wants. To the detriment of the Ukrainian people, to the detriment of Eastern Europe. It's not good. All right, it's 117 coming up on 118. It's already up to 61.2 degrees in North Jackson at World Headquarters where I'm sitting. Let me take a look real quick, see what it is at McKellar-Sipes, also known as Jackson Regional Airport. I'm sure they're up about the same temperature. They're at 58. So North Jackson's a little warmer than downtown and midtown area. That humidity's down to 36%. It feels very nice outside, I'm sure. I'm sitting indoors, but I will be out there as soon as I possibly can. You guys sit tight. I've got about 40 minutes left of the show. I'm going to take a minute or two break tops. I'm going to come right back. We're going to get right back into this. So don't go anywhere. Sit tight with me. I appreciate you guys hanging out on Factor On to find out a little bit of radio for the rest of us. Welcome back in. I just saw that apparently Lester Holt is stepping down as anchor of NBC Nightly News. I did not see that coming across earlier. Little Kate Bush running up that hill to bring us back.
It's you and me. It's you and me. You won't be unhappy and only good. I'd make a deal with God, and I guarantee small.
Does it make me sound like a hipster by saying that I was into this before it was on Stranger Things? It is a good song. I just saw today that they're doing a Stranger Things musical or something on Broadway called like The Last Shadow or something like that. But they're doing it on Broadway. There's going to be a Stranger Things version on Broadway. Good for them. Make that paper, boo-boo. Get the money where you can, I suppose. I also thought that Kate Bush was kind of a babe. I don't care what anybody says. Well, the Misfits bargain text line says Kate Bush kind of was a babe. Thanks. I didn't need your validation, but I certainly do believe she kind of was. Also, it's a really weird video. So one of the things that I saw coming across, it looks like, again, I find it fascinating that we're here defending, some of us, some of these organizations like the CIA, any of the three-letter organizations. There's just a right way to do this, and there's a wrong way to do this. And I feel like how we're doing it is the wrong way. This is, who was reporting on this? Katie Bo Lillis and Phil Mattingly. The CIA is conducting a formal review to assess any potential damage from an unclassified email sent to the White House in early February that identified, for possible layoffs, some officers by first name and last initial that could expose the roles of people working undercover, a source familiar with the matter told CNN. You heard that right. An unsecured, unclassified email using potential names of some people that would blow, as the kids would say, blow up their spot. That's just one of the multiple aftershocks from President Trump's push to take a jackhammer to the federal government, including the CIA. The administration's efforts to cut the workforce and audit spending at the CIA and elsewhere threaten to jeopardize some of the government's most sensitive work. Current and former U.S. officials familiar with the internal deliberations are saying that. Across the river in Washington, a senior career Treasury Department official delivered a memo warning Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent that granting a 25-year-old computer engineer with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency access to the government's ultra-sensitive payment system risked exposing highly classified CIA payments that flow through it. Why is that difficult to understand? You give a 25-year-old computer engineer and college dropout access to ultra-sensitive payment systems. It's like, yeah, the CIA pays all kinds of people for really sketchy shit. Maybe that shouldn't all be public knowledge. And on the CIA's 7th floor, home to top leadership, some officers are also quietly discussing how mass firings and the buyouts already offered to staff risk creating a group of disgruntled former employees who might be motivated to take what they know to a former friend who they might know that is with a foreign intelligence service. Taken together, those actions highlight the depth of unease among career officials that Trump's efforts to speedily slim down the U.S. government may be putting American secrets within the grasp of foreign spies and hackers. Yeah, I got it. Maybe we don't do it all at once. I got it. You want to look like the guy who cuts, all the fat. You want to trim the fat. Hilarious coming from like a 250-pound diaper-wearing guy, but who eats McDonald's and steaks with ketchup. Not here to body shame. In an effort to comply with an executive order to downsize the federal workforce, the CIA earlier this month sent the White House an extraordinary and unusual email listing all new hires that have been with the agency for 2 years or less. A list that included CIA officers who were prepared to operate undercover over an unclassified email server. Listen to what I just said. They sent them a list that included CIA officers who were preparing to operate undercover over an unclassified email server. Great idea. Brilliant. The agency is now considering whether some of the employees listed in the email to the White House who were previously slated for covert deployments in sensitive locations overseas should now be held back or reassigned, because sources familiar with that matter said the risk of their identity being exposed to foreign government and hackers is now way too high. But y'all fucked it up. You shouldn't have sent that. And now the idea that we've blown their cover, well, shoot, now we can't even send them out. That'll cost more money, by the way. There's also a concern that some U.S. embassy positions that are actually filled by the CIA and CIA officers who are undercover may now be at risk of being revealed, potentially angering the hosting nation and exposing companies or engaging CIA assets who are known to have met with past occupants of that role. You hear what I'm saying here? There are embassy people who are just CIA operatives. They're spies, and they work for our embassies, and they look like just a member of the U.S. Embassy, but it's actually a CIA asset working there. But now they might have blown up their spot too. And so anybody who's met with them or spoken with them from one of the host nations of our embassy is going to look at it and go, well, you were lying to me. Well, yeah, that's what the CIA does. It lies to you. But now that might cause some problems. The internal review, known as a damage assessment, will almost certainly assess not only whether the individual officers are now at risk if they go to their intended posting, but whether the positions themselves have been compromised and can no longer be filled by agency officers going forward. That's what a bunch of former intelligence officers are saying. Quote, your predecessor was in that position, as were the 5 officers before them. Now the host country and adversaries know that this person going to the position in the embassy is a member of the CIA. Now they assume that the predecessors were the same, and they'll work backwards and find the collective footprint. They're just going to look back and look back and look back and go, shit, they were all agency. All of them were CIA. Meanwhile, the CIA's over here weighing staff cuts, current and former intelligence officials say that mass firings could offer a rich recruitment opportunity for foreign intelligence services like China or Russia, who may seek to exploit financially vulnerable or resentful former employees. I don't know how much of that I believe in. I think that you can be pissed off. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go sell out your country to China or Russia. But, you know, people have done weirder things. The Justice Department has charged multiple former military and intelligence officers for providing U.S. intelligence to China in the last few years. So it does happen. I think it's the exception. It's not the rule. The agency is, and when they say the agency, obviously the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, has already fired more than 20 officers for their work on diversity issues, many of whom are now challenging their dismissal in court. The government has said in court filings that it's still weighing additional cuts to comply with Trump's order to end all diversity work across the federal government. I hope that every woman who voted for this gets exactly what they deserved, because that's DEI. How long they fought for breastfeeding and all kinds of other things where they could be able to do it affects women. Everyone who's not a white male. It's frustrating. Sources say that career officials at the agency are also working on recommendations about which probationary staff those names were emailed to the White House, and that they should be dismissed. A final number is yet to be determined. One of these people said that none have been accused of misconduct or fired for cause as of yet. But unlike most of these fired federal employees, all of those people have access to classified information about the agency's operations and tradecraft, quote, terminating someone who works for the Department of Agriculture, even if they're disgruntled. If they're not accessing classified information, really, what's the risk? This is different because this is the CIA freaking A. With the CIA and other intelligence agencies, quote, you take whatever number of employees who are going to get cut loose, they have knowledge of sensitive programs. By that definition, it's an insider risk. You're just rolling the dice that these folks are going to honor their secrecy and the agreement that they signed and not volunteer to a hostile intelligence service. This is the problem when you start gutting these kind of agencies. Department of Education, yeah, it sucks and we shouldn't do that, but I understand if that's what happens. HHS, horrible idea to gut that agency, that department, but they don't really have classified information. But your dumbass decides to walk in here and say, you know what also we're going to do? We're going to gut the CIA. Great idea. As a result, some officials are considering how to treat those employees who are inevitably fired or elected to take a buyout, including whether or not to allow them to access agency buildings at all. Because, I mean, it makes sense. And now somebody who's familiar with the discussions had to say about it. The notion that a person fired from the CIA, even for cause, let's make sure that we're, you know, not just for this reason, but even because there was a just cause. The fact that they might take what they know to a foreign government, that's not new. They've been dealing with this for a long time. And a lot of officials have noted that. Former CIA officials have. When a top aide to the agency's deputy director was indicted for fraud in 2009 after putting personal expenses on an agency credit card, charges that were expected to render him basically unemployable, senior leaders at the time fretted that he might offer himself up to the highest bidder. Current and former officials familiar with the episode said. But ultimately, the first official said, there's not much that the agency can do legally to monitor former employees or to mitigate the risk. Well, one thing you could do is not go willy-nilly firing people. who've done nothing wrong. We can have a conversation. We can talk about what you've done. Instead of sending an email, we can say, what have you done in the last week, month, year? Are you happy with your job? Is there other things you would like to be doing? Are there other things you'd like to be doing? Just going around firing folks like this doesn't seem like a good look. Another U.S. official sympathetic to Trump's efforts noted that the kind of person who might do such a thing is precisely the type of agent that the agency should be removing from its ranks in the first place. Make it make sense. Yeah, but if they were going to do that, we should have fired them anyways. Well, if you didn't fire them, they wouldn't do that. Yeah, but if you fire them, they're going to, and that's why they should be gone. It's a snake eating its tail. But really, honestly, that doesn't mean that the threat is not real. There's a bunch of current and former officials at the CIA who feel the same way. It says, quote, I'm not sure the administration really understands that risk. And moreover, even if they understand, it's not very clear that they care. But the risk is real. And a lot of those covert payments, the fact that the payment systems are being released and turned over to these children with no history in military or government or espionage or any of this, are just getting turned over the keys to the kingdom. When it comes to the payment systems, that is a good way for Americans to die and for people who are covert and spies and undercover to have their covers blown, and that is not good. From the Misfits Market Expo text line, it says, I've not heard a Guinness record today. You know, I skipped all that. All right, I'll do that. I've got about 20 minutes. We can have a little fun on the last part of the show. How's that sound? All right, this is from the AP. Found this, thought it was cool. And by cool, I just mean it's funny. This is out of Paris. So, you know, in America, when you buy a lottery ticket, or at least most places in America, you buy a lottery ticket, you have to use cash. You can't really use a debit card, credit card, check, anything like that. Well, apparently it's different in Paris. In Gay Paris, it is not the same. Ha ha ha. Thieves used a stolen card to buy a winning French lottery ticket worth 5,000 euros, which is about 500,000, I'm sorry, which is about 525,000 US dollars. They vanished before cashing it in. Now they're among France's most famous fugitives. The man whose card was stolen identified in police documents as Jean David. He's offering to split the cash with the lucky winners because he wants his wallet back. That's funny. The thieves, meanwhile, face the risk of arrest. As of Saturday, the state lottery operator said that no one had submitted the ticket to cash out. Okay. It's an incredible story, but it's all true, is what Jean David's lawyer, Pierre Debussy. I cannot believe that these names keep getting more and more French. You shouldn't turn me loose to say the French names. I know, Leslie. LB, I had to I can't help it. The names in this story are literally Jean David and Pierre Debussy. I can't help it. Jean David discovered earlier this month that his backpack had been stolen from his car in the southern city of Toulouse, including bank cards, other documents. Jean David asked his bank to block the card, but learned it had already been used at a local shop. So before they could do it, they had already bought a lottery ticket. And at the shop, the vendor told the two apparently homeless men he had to use one of his cards to buy the scratch-off ticket. They were totally happy. They forgot their cigarettes and their belongings, and they walked out like crazy people. That's what Debussy, that's what he said. So now, Jean David He's sitting here saying, I just want to get my backpack and my shit back. I would love to have my wallet back. I will split the $525,000 with you guys if you'll just give me back my stuff. Ah, the French. Very interesting. Oh, what's up, Anna Johnson? Yep, you are here right at the end, but that's okay. I hope you're having a good day. I love you. I miss your face. I thought this was interesting. So, Walmart is, Walmart is. We all know about Wally World. In Michigan, a judge is sentencing Walmart shoplifters to wash cars in the parking lot. I'm not positive how I feel about this. This is an article by Ed White for the AP. A Michigan judge is putting sponges in the hands of shoplifters, ordering them to wash cars in a Walmart parking lot when spring arrives. So Judge Jeffrey Clothier, he hopes the unusual form of community service discourages people from stealing from Walmart and reward shoppers who could see higher prices or possibly lose stores if the theft continues. And the car washes are going to be free. Yeah, and I see love you, miss you face. He says, quote, I don't think everybody that steals is a bad person. Sometimes people are just down on their luck. But there's going to be consequences when you break the law. Judge Clothier told the Associated Press that he began ordering Walmart wash. It's a quote, Walmart wash sentences this week for misdemeanor shoplifting at the store in Grand Blanc Township, 50 miles north of Detroit. He believes 75 to 100 people eventually will be ordered to wash cars at weekend events at that location in March and April. Jesus Christ, that's a bunch of people stealing. That is Walmart. The judge said Walmart is, quote, all on board and will provide water and supplies. The company's Arkansas headquarters didn't immediately respond to an email seeking a comment of some sort on Friday. They're based out of Bentonville, Arkansas. I've been to Bentonville, Arkansas. I got snowed in on my birthday some 3 or 4 years ago. My youngest brother lives in Fayetteville, or Rogers, right there near the headquarters for old Walmart. Then to the first original store, but it looks like a Michigan judge is sentencing shoplifters to wash cars in the parking lot. And the car washes are free. Okay. It's not a huge punishment, but I don't think that it should be that severe. It depends on, I guess, what they stole. I mean, did you steal a bike for your kid, or did you steal a bunch of flat screen TV? I don't know. I guess I'm fine with it. If I'm gonna be completely honest, I guess I'm fine with it. But we're towards the end of the show here, so we're doing fun, lighthearted stories. We've screamed into the ether already about how Elon Musk and Mango Mussolini, the Tangerine Tyrant, are fucking up everything. So we're just gonna have a little bit of fun here at the end of the show. I know this might sound a little boring, but I was asked on the text line, brought to us every day by the Misfits Market Expo 2025. Gonna be March 29th and 30th at the Jackson Fairgrounds. Said hadn't brought up any Guinness records. Well, I got one for you. Oklahoma man boasts the world's largest collection of, drumroll please, bricks. The world's largest brick collection. An Oklahoma man surprised his family with a Guinness World Record for his collection of 8,882 different bricks. Isn't that just a house? Clem Rinkenmeyer, 87, was out of town when his daughter Celia and his son-in-law Dan Bissett gathered a group of friends to count and document each item in his Tulsa brick barn. I like this guy already. I like old Clem already. Rankenmeyer returned home and was surprised with an official certificate from for the world's largest collection of bricks. He says, quote, "I got back in town. It was a big surprise, and I'm very happy to have the certificate." That's what he told Guinness World Records. His collection, which he's been amassing for 40 years, includes a Roman brick from AD 100, but most date from the last few hundred years. Quote, "The brick tide for making the bricks was about maybe 1870 to 1910. A special kind of brick like this has a certain clay that withstands heat, and everybody needs a fireplace." He said some of the most valuable bricks are those with misspellings, such as one that reads Tulsa with a backwards S. Oh, that's cool. And I think that Oklahoma has a history for the most misspelled bricks. I don't know why, he says. What's up, Lisa? I see Miss Lisa back on there. Welcome back. He goes on to say the collector said that one of his favorites is a sidewalk brick made at a Washington facility located where the Pentagon now stands. He says, quote, "There may be some of these under the Pentagon, but I think this one is one of a kind." He said bricks interest him because of the history that they hold. "What appealed to me about bricks is this. You can trace them back to historical places, and that always intrigued me. It's unusual, but I like it." I bet he's a blast at parties. I've got a brick outside of the house right now. We traced it back to the late 1800s from right around the corner here in North Jackson. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Man has a brick collection, world's largest. So far as Guinness World Records says, 8,882 bricks, and his kids did the counting, brought people back in. Take a look at him, count the bricks. He comes home from a little vacation away to a Guinness World Record. Good for him. You guys know I do a lot of, if you've listened for very long, you know I do a lot of Florida man stories. What about Florida critters? So a team of University of Florida researchers said that they were shocked at what their cameras discovered in the sewers of Gainesville, Florida. Quote, "An abundance of animals, including alligators." Alan Ivory, a doctoral student and lead author of the research published in the Journal of Urban Naturalist, said he and his team set up 39 cameras in 33 stormwater sewers in Gainesville, Florida in an attempt to document the use of the underground tunnels by wildlife over a period of 60 days. The researchers ended up with 3,800 sightings of 35 animal species, including 50 alligator sightings, 50 whole alligators. He said, quote, "It's like something out of teenage..." Well, I like this guy already. He says the abundance of animals down there was surprising. Ivory said that the gators mostly seemed to be using the sewers as passageways between ponds, but some appeared to be using the tunnels to hunt for fish. It's almost as if they were cornering the fish into this dead end, using the human infrastructure to help them forage. The research team said they also documented about 1,800 raccoon sightings, and the animals would sometimes walk off with the cameras. I love it. He went on to say, quote, "We would have raccoons steal cameras every now and then. They climb up the ladders and they tear off the manholes. Other animals caught on camera included bats, armadillos, and 12 species of birds." How many did it say it was total? 3,800 sightings. 50 of them were alligators. I do like that the raccoons are stealing the cameras. And I'll give you one more to wrap it up. I'm also very proud that we made it through the whole stream and only had computer malfunctions once, right at the very beginning. So, I say that, knock on wood. I'll click on something, the whole thing will go to hell in a handbasket. So this is out of India. So I'm going to have fun with these names. A 14-year-old boy who's known as, quote, the human calculator, from India put his mental math to the test and broke 6 Guinness records in a single day. From the comments section, Bill O'Neill says, yeah, baby. And Miss Lisa Atkins says, I hate to miss the Elon Musk chainsaw. It's okay. All chainsaw was basically reiterating the fact that he just sounds like a guy that he's trying to act like what he thinks a cool person is, because he's not a cool person. So 14-year-old human calculator from India put his mental math test to the test and broke 6 Guinness records in one day. Aryan Shulka, 14, of Maharashtra, set his first Guinness record about a year ago when he took on the record for the fastest time to mentally add 55-digit numbers on the set of Italian TV series Lo Show dei Record. We've talked about that show before. And I've seen that. I've seen the kids do that. So Shukla, who accomplished the feat in a time of only 25.19 seconds, was invited to Dubai by Guinness World Records, and now has 6 more titles to his name. In a single day, Shukla broke the record for, get this, the fastest time to mentally add 104-digit numbers. He did that in 30 seconds. Fastest time to mentally add 204-digit numbers. He did that in a minute. Fastest time to mentally add 55-digit numbers. He did that in 18 seconds. The fastest time to mentally divide 20-digit numbers by 10-digit numbers. He did that at 5 minutes and 42 seconds. Fastest time to mentally multiply 2 5-digit numbers. He did that in 51.69 seconds. And the fastest time to mentally multiply 2 8-digit numbers. And he did that in 2 minutes, 35.41 seconds. Shukla, who is nicknamed, quote, the human calculator by Guinness World Records, said he practices math for 5 to 6 hours a day to keep his mind sharp for competitions. I'm sure. His father said that his family doesn't know where the boy's skills come from because he says, quote, I'm an idiot. Nah, he didn't say that. He says, quote, we're Norian is a 1 in a billion kind of person, but I don't think that we're a family of mental calculators. Yeah, your kid's on the spectrum, homie. Your kid got that special kind of autism where he doesn't just like trains. He's 14, so that means in 2001, 2 people had sex and made another Rain Man. That's what happened. From the text line, Miss Lisa Atkins says, did you read about the 12-year-old that developed filters for school filters, and the EPA approved her and she was awarded with a big award last week? I did not. I will look that up. Was that here in the States, Miss Lisa? Was that overseas? Was that in these United States? I'd be curious. Yeah, I'll definitely look that up. Is it water? Is it water filters? That would also be another question I have. Is it? I assume that's what you mean. You said filters for school filters. EPA approved it. I assume that's not coffee filters. Or oil filters. Or fuel filters. Yes. Okay, cool. I'll look that up. Absolutely will. Oh, okay. She was featured on Good Morning America. How cool. I will look into that. I always appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's coming up on 2 o'clock, so it's about that time. That's just kind of what we gotta have, what we gotta do. You guys' participation today was absolutely lovely, and I appreciated that very much. And I will be back tomorrow to do this whole darn thing again. And boy, we're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me have the week off. I had a lot up in the air. I had a lot of things that I had to take care of and get accomplished. And I do appreciate that. Oh, Miss Lisa says air filters. Air filters. Okay, appreciate that.
I don't mind.
Anna Johnson says, as we like to say, monetize the autism. We're all in the spectrum somewhere. Yeah. Lisa says, her friends at school kept getting sick with sinuses, so she thought the filters needed changed. Love it. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. I'll be back tomorrow, 11 to 2. Again, thank you for the time to take that change. What are you gonna do? No, we definitely needed that break there for a second.
Ain't it fun?
Miss Lisa says, and it worked. That's awesome. I like some good, feel-good stories. I'll see you guys back tomorrow. Make sure that as you're going through life, be kind to the people around you. You have no idea what somebody else is going through. The fights they're fighting, the battles that they're involved in, even sometimes just in your own head. You know, it might be real to them, and you don't know. Just be nice. It costs you nothing, man. It costs nothing to be kind. Please do that when you're out across your life, walking through life. Please do that, please. And until then, I'll see you back tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I love you like chicken.
Baby, now you're one of us. Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun? Ain't it fun?